Alright, so this month's event is going to be the Dual Triangle again, with Fusion, Xyz, and Link decks. So we've had this plenty of times in the past, so I'll go over like the gist of it quickly. But basically, you got three groups. You can only use the extra deck summoning mechanic in your specific group. Uh, Fusion means fusions only, Xyz means Xyz only, Links means Xyz means Links means Links only. And the idea is you're supposed to match up against people from the other two groups. So for example, let's say if you're Xyz, you're gonna only play against Fusion and Link. That's how it's supposed to work. However, literally every single time they've done this event in the past, there's like been extreme imbalances in like the groups and like the card pool available and the decks available, to the point where there's always just one group that's super like heavily played, and there's like another group that's like barely anyone plays, and then it messes up the matchmaking because you get matched up against people in your own group then, and that just screws everything up. That's like weird. So like, praying this time, I can't predict anything, but I'm hoping that this time the groups are going to be more balanced and the decks available are going to be more balanced. I think that's going to be the case. Like we've had like just literally we've had groups in the past have twice the amount of points as another group, which is like, that's definitely not the intention with a dual triangle event like this. But yeah, anyway, as for the card pool, so most decks are going to be a bit weaker in this event because most decks are multi extra deck mechanic decks. Generally I'm almost every like top deck uses multiple mechanics, multiple extra deck mechanics, such as like Links and Xyz, or Links and Synchros, which Synchros aren't even allowed, and so on and so forth. So if you're restricted to just the one type, it will make your deck a little bit weaker. At the same time, the ban list here is a lot less restrictive than the dice rally we had last month. I'm surprised by the leniency and the little amount of hits in this event. So, like, to go over some things that are still banned. So obviously I'm in the Xyz group right now. And where the hell is it? Yeah. In case you're wondering, Rizio is not allowed in Xyz. That's just straight up. If you're a Rizio card, you're just not allowed unless you want to play Node Turbo without any other Rizio names. Be my guest. There's no extra deck Rizio cards allowed, so Cross doesn't do anything. But yeah, Xyz, no Rizio, so that immediately just knocks down the power level of the group like quite a bit. Also, you'll notice like Habakiri is banned. Habakiri is banned in all three groups. It's not just banned in Xyz. So like, there's going to be no Habakiri. There's no one card combo Mitsurugi. Not to say Mitsurugi is unplayable. Technically, you can play Mitsurugi because every other Mitsurugi card is legal. That's not Habakiri. But I mean, like the reason why Mitsurugi is kind of busted is because Habakiri does everything with one card, and without Habakiri, everything is a multi-card combo, which is like how a normal ritual deck is. Speaking of ritual decks, yeah, Voiceless Voice, no, like, no, that shouldn't even have to mention that Voiceless Voice is not allowed in this event. Neither is Labyrinth. Like, Voiceless Voice and Labyrinth, you can just pencil those decks in, as if it's an event, you're not just going to be able to play those decks. So yeah, pretty much. And then for Synchro, or for the Link group, if people are worried about the Link group, don't worry. If you haven't checked yet, what's not allowed specifically is this deck right here. Malice, no. Malice got the same treatment as Rizio did in the Xyz group. No Links, no Malice cards allowed in the Link group. Sorry, Jesus Christ. Now the extra deck monsters, technically you can put them in your extra deck, but all of these require a Malice name, and there's no main deck Malice name that's legal, so you can't physically make these. There might be some way, maybe if you really want to cook, to try and summon these from the extra deck without a main deck Malice name. I have no idea how you would do that. So yeah, Malice is unplayable, which you should be rejoicing, because Malice was by far the best Link deck in the game. So without this, hopefully everything will be more balanced. Also of note, randomly is. Oh, sorry about that. Randomly, this is the first time in an event where I think every Snake-Eyes card is legal, besides the ones that are actually banned in the real ban list. Oak. So Yeah, maybe you can do something with Snake-Eyes, because there's also, you know, this is a link-based event, but you're not going to be able to add, like, Fire Kings. Fire Kings are definitely not playable in the link part of the event, as we check the forbidden part. Garunix is banned, Kieran is banned. There's like no chance in hell you're going to be able to play with any Fire King related stuff with the Snake-Eyes cards. You're also not going to be able to play with rescue ass cards because Turbulence is banned, and so is Emergency. So if you're gonna play Snake-Eyes, like straight Snake-Eyes cards, you're gonna have to raw dog Snake-Eyes. Nothing, no secondary engine probably, unless there's like some random fire engine that's I haven't seen in years, you know, used with Snake-Eyes. But yeah, maybe you can do something with Snake-Eyes. I don't think Snake-Eyes without any secondary engine, and without Oak, and without Fiendsmiths, because, you know, Fiendsmiths are fusions, and without Millennium stuff, like Millennium's Doom Dragon is a fusion, obviously, so, like, you know, you can't use Snake-Eyes Doom Dragon either if you're a Millennium engine. Like, this is, yeah, you can play quote-unquote Snake-Eyes. I don't know what you would do with it. I don't know what the payoff is. I don't know what you can even really do with this. But, yeah. Also, I guess, big is that SP Little Knight is legal. I think this is the first Dual Triangle event where SP Little Knight was legal. This is actually, like, I don't remember the last time SP Little Knight was legal in any event, for the most part. Like, they've always been particular about making sure SP Little Knight can't be played in link-based events. But yeah, this is legal now, and so is obviously its partner IP. So, whoops, that's not a colon, but yeah, IP Masquerena is also legal. So IP into SP is legal. That's your best link play. Don't know what else Snake-Eyes can do, but yeah, this is available for you if you play links. And as for fusions, I don't think there's anything notable hit with fusion. I actually straight up don't think that they left fusion decks alone for the most part. Like, you're gonna see in like the best decks I recommend, the hits are gonna be there, and they're gonna be like not the they're like not the biggest compared to Xyz and Link, where they banned Raizio and banned Malice. I don't think there's like really a notable fusion deck that's banned in the fusion group. So yeah, we'll start with a couple of the best decks I think. The couple of the best fusion decks I think are going to be for this event. So first off, we're going to start with Lunalight. And you're wondering about the hits to Lunalight. The one hit is Liger Dancer. Went from 1 to 2. Went from 2 to 1. Math. Okay, so yeah, this is kind of a big deal, honestly, because the main reason why Lunalight Liger Dancer is hard to out is because you can make 2 of them. So you can't just have an out to 1 towers. You have to have an out to 2 towers, and you know, outing 2 towers is exponentially harder than outing 1 tiger or one towers, because both of these have a Raigeki effect. So if there are 2 towers on the field, you also have to play through 2 Raigekis, which is, you know, quite a difficult interruption to play through. With only 1 Liger Dancer, you only have to play through 1 Raigeki effect, and then most decks should be able to out at 3800 towers. Like, 3800 tag is not the highest, so like a lot of decks just have things they can make that can just run it over straight up, and it's a lot easier to play through. So this deck is a lot less, you know, draw the out, a lot less toxic than it was in ranked, which I don't even think this deck is even that great in ranked to begin with, but like, especially in this event, I do expect it to be played quite a bit just because it's the new deck, and, you know, Konami likes selling new cards with these events, and this is definitely a deck that you can play. It's just not going to be nearly as strong as it is in normal, which is fine because that goes the same for most decks. But yeah, this is from what I can gather, this is a standardish Lunalight deck, standard ratios. Obviously, of note, this is a non-cup event, so Max C is banned, Call By is banned, Crossout is banned. Man, it's almost like they know what the problem cards are, and they ban it for every event. It's feeling like a Genesis every time, feeling like the Genesis ban list every time an event rolls around, and they hit all the Maxi minigame cards. Thinking. So yeah. Beyond that, this is Lunalight. Another thing about the extra deck is that Super Poly is legal, but Super Poly is at 1. At the same time, fusion decks don't, with the exception of maybe like one fusion deck, which you know what I'm talking about. Most decks in the fusion engine group will have plenty of extra deck space. So even though there's only one super poly, what else are you gonna run here, right? I've still run like 5 super poly targets in the extra deck despite only having 1 super poly, because like I don't know, I can't play Lynx, can't play ranked 4s, I can't play XC, so like what else am I gonna do with that space, right? Yeah, so this is Lunalight ratio, standard ratios I think are like Lunalight, Black Sheep 2 or 3. I think you can maybe run 3 for this event because, you know, there's less non-engine, like you don't have to spend room on your deck list for Maxi or Called By or Crossout, so you have space to run more engine. So maybe you're running like a 3rd Black Sheep is correct or something. 2 Silverhound, 2 Silverhound. I think you sent the Silverhound with the Fractal is usually one of the plays you do, right? And then you special summon you Italia Lunalight from deck. 2 Kaleido Chick, 1 Emerald Bird, 1 Yellow Martin, 1 Fractal as a tanky search target. Then triple Goldio. Unfortunately, how Konami does these releases, the new 3 of is always a UR, so you gotta have 3 Goldio. 1 Tiger, 1 Wolf, as for like all the Lunalight names. 1 Poly, 2 Perfume, 1 Lunalight Fusion, 1 Heavy Poly. The card. This is the card that everyone says they fucking lose to against Lunalight, because it's like it's like fusion from the extra deck if you're going second. So that's one thing about having all the space in the extra deck, is that you can run a bunch of extra Lunalight fusion names just for like heavy poly fodder that you wouldn't normally run. But yeah, triple tanky, 3 Lunalight Masquerade. Again, the other UR from the new pack, also a 3 of, because it's just the foolish for any Lunalight monster. So yeah, of course you gotta run it at 3. The 1 Super Poly, which every fusion deck is gonna play, and like it's gonna be so annoying when you play against fusion decks and they draw the 1-of Super Poly, and like they're like, well, fuck me, I don't have it's not like I can use Super Poly against you to defend myself, because I can't fucking fuse anything. I don't have fusion in my extra deck. So yeah, I'm surprised they keep putting this at 1 and just not banning this straight up, because like clearly they realize the Super Poly is like kind of a powerful card in these lower powered events, and enough to hit it to 1 but not outright ban it. I don't know if they thought they would make it like they would think that people wouldn't build around Super Poly. I mean, look at all the bullshit I'm running the extra deck. Like, you think I don't have space for this? But yeah. And then the thing about Lunalight is that Lunalight is a deck that's primarily darks and fires. By fire I mean Fractal. It's the 1 fire monster. So this is a Dominus Impulse deck, and Dominus Impulse is a crazy good card, because there's going to be there's not going to be very many other Dominus Impulses. I feel like all the Dominus Impulse decks are going to be fusion decks, surprisingly, which is like I guess that's just how it works out. But yeah, you got Imperms, you got Droll Lockbird, you got Ash Blossoms, you got March Army Fool Loss. Basically just any hand traps you want, like just run any hand traps you want. You got to replace the Maxis with something, so why we're playing the Fool Loss and like Imperms. We'll see if Nibiru's are good, because the reason I don't play Nibiru is because there's like Nibiru's like maybe good against the Xyz group, maybe that even that's iffy. But like I don't actually want Nibiru versus, like, if I'm not playing the fusion group, for example, I wouldn't want to draw Nibiru versus fusion decks, because Nibiru is like famously not good against most fusion decks. And then also against the Link deck, you're gonna see a couple decks that I recommend for the Link group that really do not care that much about Nibiru. So like this is why I haven't included Nibiru, because like it feels like Nibiru is like not even good against half the decks that are, or half the popular decks that are going to be played in this event. So yeah, extra deck. So for Lunalight names, you have 2 Perfume Dancer, 2 Panther Dancer. I don't think you normally run 2 of this, but like again, the fuck else are you going to play into your extra deck? You have 1 Saber Dancer. I'm not even sure if people play 1 of this. If you didn't craft this for UR, don't feel bad about not playing this, because like if you weren't playing it in your normal rank deck, I don't think it's really necessary for an event. But yeah, double Leo Dancer for like I think going second OT Ks and stuff like that, and then the 1 Liger Dancer that you're allowed to run. And yeah, you got a Guardian Chimera to help play into boards because you do play like poly and poly like spells like heavy poly and like polymerization, so you can't use Guardian Chimera as a board breaker going second. Then like just random super poly targets like obviously Mudragon and Garura. Like I'm honestly like, if they want to hit super poly, like don't even hit super poly, just fucking ban Garura in like one of these events, and then that effectively hits super poly. Like people are probably not going to be running Garura, or they're probably not going to be running super poly if fucking one of the two main super poly targets is banned. But you know, I guess they just want this to be a bit more sacky. It is an event after all, so it doesn't really matter that much. Earth Golem at Ignister, this basically just reads like Fuse IP Masquerada versus Link based decks, but obviously your opponent could be playing a Cybers deck too. Although I don't expect many Cybers decks to be too popular, but you know that is a possibility. You got Starving Venom, Dragos Lapelia, and Triff Gaming pen best deck. Let's go versus dark decks. So yeah, now the thing is that I think the most dark decks are fusion decks, funnily enough. So, you know, maybe this isn't going to be live too often, or you're going to be fusing a lot of your own cards, which, you know, it's probably worth it to fuse, like, to get rid of one of your opponent's monsters by using one or two of yours. We'll see. But yeah, this is Lunalight. It's just Lunalight. It's, yeah, the newest deck from the pack. So if you want to test this, if you been interested in playing Lunalight and you want to like test it out, but we're taking it to ranked, like this is, you know, perfectly usable for this event. Just slightly weaker because only one Likert answer, but I think this will be fine. I think this deck will manage. And the next best fusion deck, which honestly this might just be the best fusion deck. This is Grass Branded. If you're looking for what are the hits to this deck, I know it's hard to see, so let me point them out to you, okay? So, Branded Fusion went from 2 to 1, and Branded Opening went from 3 to 1. And Super Poly went from 3 to 1, and those are the only thing I changed in this deck. I literally imported my my 60-card Grass Branded deck, and I just replaced like 5 cards in the main deck, and I guess in the extra deck there's no Verte, so I replaced Verte with Thespian Proscenia. That's literally it. Like this deck is remarkably unhit. Like this deck, like Jesus Christ. First of all, I apologize for the mismatched alt arts and non-alt art cards. To all my people with OCD, I'm really sorry that I only have like 4 alt art cards in this list. All my branded enjoyers are gonna fucking clown me for these fucking mismatched rarities. But yeah, this is all the alt arts I could get. These are all the art arts I could pull. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm not made of funny, but yeah, it's honestly, literally, if you already own a branded deck, if you already have a branded deck you play, literally just put it in the deck builder, and like you will have to spend like 2 minutes at most changing up like the small amount of cards that are hit. Like you know what really pisses me off about this? About the lack of hits was they didn't ban Sanctifier, which like I understand, you know, why would they ban Sanctifier, but they didn't hit the DDD Vice King Requiem. I don't think they hit either of the any of the DDD floodgates. I didn't hit the fucking well, okay, it's not DDD, it's Jesus Christ, this archetype's naming convention. It didn't hit like the Orphros either, but like, bruh, like Sanctifier locking your opponent with Vice King Requiem is just something you can do in this event, which is like, I don't know why, like, come on, man, like, even if you say like the Random doesn't need this, but like, of course it doesn't, but at the same time, why are we allowing them to do this in an event? Especially since like this is a backup plan to where if you get hand trapped enough, okay, cool, I'm gonna go Thrust for Fusion Duplication. In the draw phase, go Brand Fusion, and then I'm gonna make the DDD Vice Queen Requiem lock on your draw phase because that's something Brandon can do. God fucking damn it! I don't. I almost wanted to like not include this just so like people, the very few thousands of people that watch this video would like not know if that would just assume that this is something that wouldn't be allowed in this event, and then they would, you know, we'd have to deal with less branded players. Sanctifier, DDD, Vice King Requiem locking people, but you know, well, I mean, it's too late now. I'm not gonna redo the recording. So yeah. Other than that, this deck is like, among other things, Bestials aren't hit at all. So like, you can run 3 Lubellion, you can run Magnuma, you can run 3 Sarnier. All of this shit's still legal. Like, if they, any starter from Branded will do the exact same thing in this event as it will in Ranked, as it will in the normal ban list. The only thing I can say is that Brandon has like fallen off in the past few months, like in the standard beta game. So like, that's probably maybe why they think that, you know, this deck doesn't need to be hit for like events like this. But I mean, what do you think is going to happen when you literally ban the decks that are the reason why this deck got power crept out in the meta? Like, what would you think is going to happen? But, you know, anyways, yeah, Branded definitely going to be one of the best fusion decks. To just go over the deck list like real quickly, like, this is obviously, this is a 60 card deck. There's lots of room for, you know, different tech choices you can play. This is just like some options. I've just basically included like every option you can potentially run in here. So like, you have the 1 Tragedy, 3 Fallen of Alpaz, the two non-alt arts, I'm sorry, the 3 Alibur, the 1 non-alt art, double Mercurier, since like we are running triple Allure as well, so like, you know, that's a pretty good hit off Allure. Spriggan's Kit, the Golden Sword Soul, 1 yeah, one of these. Double Quem. I think you only need 1 Quem, to be honest. I just like, you know, I was like the 60th card, but I was putting the second one. That way, if you hard draw the Quem, you can still summon one from deck. Like, that's the main problem I've had when I ran 1 Quem, is that I would always draw the Quem, and then I wouldn't be able to summon one off of Titaniclad, and that would like be a little annoying. But yeah, triple Foolaws, the Bestials, 3 Sarnier, because Sarnier is engine, and 1's Magnuma, because like Magnuma can search like Fallen of Albaz or Shrouded Dragon. So like, it's Magnuma is also engine, it's just a little delayed, and you can, obviously it's not as good with ran High Spirits, but you know, so I would run triple Sarnier, triple Albion, triple Vista Lubellion. This is honestly, you may not need triple Lubellion, because Lubellion is not as good of an extender since there's no Verte. Like, the main reason you would play Lubellion is when you're like, when your Alibur gets impermed or like hand trapped and you don't have another play, you can, at the very worst, since you didn't activate Branded Fusion yet, you're not fusion locked, you could just go Lubellion, make Verte. But like, obviously you can't do that in this event for, you know, for obvious reasons. But so Lubellion's an option. You know, we've gone over this enough. Some board breakers, you know, like Heavy Storm, Duster, Foolish to dump the Tragedy, Gold Sark to banish the Tragedy or the Mercurier, triple Allure, 1 Grass. By the way, Grass is legal, in case you were wondering. So yeah, all of the Grass abusing decks also tend to be fusion decks, so you know, be ready for that. Triple Fusion Deployment to get out your Cartasia, you know, just to beat Imperm potentially. What Tactics to add 1-up Tactics to get off the triple Tactics Thrust, the triple Tactics Thrust. 1 Branded in white, 1 Branded Fusion, triple Thrust, Branded Lost, the 1 Super Poly, and 3 Droplets as board breakers. 1 Branded Opening. I think a lot of Branded decks, even in 60 cards, only run 1 Branded Opening anyways, because the deck had so much engine back, and like, so it got so many cards off the ban list that like, they didn't even need to run the full copies of like 3 Branded Opening, because this is technically a minus. But yeah, triple Branded High Spirits, Branded Red, 1 Sword, 1 Brightest Blazing. Branded, I don't usually run this, but like, you know, if I was gonna play a 60 card deck, I did have space for extra cards, so like, this is one of the tech choices. A Fusion Duplication for the Thrust, and then double Retribution, because it's a 60 card deck, so you can go through 2 Retribution quite decently. And then the extra deck, so Muddragon and Garura as Super Poly targets. If you don't want to play Super Poly because it's a 1-of, you can cut these and run like other fusions, like you can run a Guardian Chimera instead or something. 1 Furious Dragon, 1 Titaniclad, double Albion, 1 Despian for Idis, 1 or like Queer Tits, as some people say. I honestly, I kind of only play this because I have a Royal. I'm not sure if this is standard in Branded still. Double Mirror Jade, 1 Lubellion, 1 Grand Grignol, 1 Rinbrum, 1 Sanctifier, 1 Chaos Star Swords. This is the replacement for Guardian Chimera. If you're wondering, instead of making Guardian Chimera, you just make this. This pops 2 anyways, and it's easier to make because it's only 2 materials instead of 3 like Guardian Chimera. And then Perscenion, mainly it's a good super poly target if your opponent is somehow playing dark and light monsters in their deck, but it's mainly you summon off of Grand Cudel, the free summon. So yeah, this is branded. So next onto the Xyz decks, and here we have Purrely. And if you're wondering what the hits to this deck are, first of all, I should say hit, not hits, like singular, because there's only one hit to this deck, and that's Delicious Memory. It's normally at 3. In case you forgot, this card did get unlimited in Master Duel, but it's at 1 for this event. And like honestly, that's fine. I think Purrely has spent more time playing with 1 Delicious Memory than at any other number, because I think this card's literally been limited on Master Duel for years, plural. So yeah, this deck is, we all know this deck is perfectly fine playing with just 1 Delicious Memory, especially now that it has the Purrely Nor. And it's very funny because remember in the dice trial, the dice rally last event, this deck had like 4 of this deck's cards were like limited. 3 different memories, like fucking Pretty Memory, Delicious Memory, and Sleepy Memory were like all limited, and then My Friend Purrely was also limited, or something like that, something ridiculous like that. Like in the dice rally event, where Orcust was available to play at full power, man, I don't know what they were thinking of that. Like why they were so afraid of Purrely. But yeah, now this deck is like basically completely legal, almost unhit for this event, and yeah. So here's the thing: is that the game plan of just sitting on our towers is not going to work as well in this event as it would normally, maybe in ranked, depending on how many people care about Lunalight. Because again, there is this other deck in the format called Lunalight that also plays the towers, so people are going to be prepared to be able to deal with towers like cards, and they're going to have outs of towers, if not just play a deck that outright beats them. So like obviously, like just making a Purrely Noir is not going to win you the game immediately. It's going to be good though. Like I mean, this card still has to deal with when you're playing on the receiving end against this. But yeah, you still draw a lot of cards. There's no max seed to draw into off of this deck, so like there's no auto win, but like I mean, drawing Drool is pretty good against most decks in this event still. And yeah, this deck has lots of room for hand traps, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 17 hand traps. Not bad, 17 hand traps. And with Called By and Crossout, getting banned, a lot of decks are obviously weaker in the hand traps. Purrely has a way to deal with some types of hand traps, such as with Purrely Street. This at least lets Purrely basically beat Imperm and Valor and like treat them, like ignore them like they're not even there. So that's another advantage that Purrely has. And this deck's really consistent. So yeah, this is it's one of the best Xyz decks. The Xyz group has like less options comparatively compared to, I would say, the Fusion group and the Link group, but yeah, Purrely is definitely one of the probably the best Xyz decks in this event. So yeah, to go over like this deck is really simple. Like it literally builds itself. If you own all these cards, like this takes like 2 seconds to build. But like you just run mass copies of all the Purrely cards that you can. So like 3 Purrely, 3 Purrely, 3 Street, 3 My Friend, 3 Happy, 3 Pretty Memory, 3 Sleepy Memory, 1 Delicious, and then like the 1 per Eve. And like there's your Purrely engine. Like I know innovative stuff right there. And then the rest you just play with hand traps. So another advantage of Purrely is that you can run like discard engines too if you don't want to play the mulch armies. Like you can play, for example, Ghost Tricks, NBT, but yeah, you can even play the Ghost Trick Purrely build from way back, because like without Link Monsters you do have more space in your extra deck, but that's most people don't have the Ghost Trick package because they're all URs. But yeah, this deck plays mulch armies really well, because going first you can just discard them for your Purrely quick plays and like be fine. Like they're basically just free discards, and like they're pretty good hand traps. So yeah, the extra deck is just two of most, like 2 of each Purrely Xyz, like 2 Happiness, 2 Beauty, 2 Plump, 1 Noir, because like you only need 1 Noir, 1 Downer, double X Purrely Noir, the big Noir, 1 Zeus, and 1 Typhon. You can even run multiple Zeus. Like that's something you can do just at the space. If you don't, then like we have like 3 rank 1s, 1 for Sylvan Princess Sprite, just the sack You know, if you brick, you can, or you get hand trapped too often, you can just try to sack into another quick play spell and go from there. Symbol Nightingale, make big Zeus's, and Ensemble Blue Robin, because when you have like an X Purrely Nor on the field, sometimes you have like 2 other leftover Purrelys that already use their hard once per turn effect to Exceed summon, so you can just overlay them into an Ensemble Blue Robin, have like an extra interruption. But yeah, this is Purrely. It's pretty simple. It's not simple to play. This deck's really hard to play. I actually still struggle to this day to play this deck well. But the deck building wise, this is pretty straightforward and like pretty simple. All right, next is possibly one of the greatest Xyz decks of all time. Yes, this is Snake-Eye's Fire King with a splash of the Springans engine. So, you know, if you want MBT to play an event deck on stream that's actually good and that he would actually like, because I know MBT is Spriggan's #1 soldier. Plus, he's been playing a lot of Fire King from Genesis. You know, like you know, get this deck. If you weren't following Master Duel hardcore or anything, this deck actually won the Xyz Cup like 2 years ago. Like, remember how this year recently we had the Synchro Cup where it was just Synchro decks? The Xyz Cup, the first one they did with you know, only Xyz, Fire King Snake-Eyes won the Xyz Cup, and it wasn't even close. This deck was literally like tier 0 in the Xyz Cup, mind you. A format where Purrely exists, you know, the previous deck we showed, Purrely exists, and this deck just fucking demolished it. It wasn't even close. This deck is insanely powerful. This is a Tasaku classic creation. He figured this deck out. He figured to add the Springans cards in a Fire King deck when the normal Fire King extra deck literally had like 13 to 14 Link monsters. But no, it's actually, even without those 14 spots in your extra deck, you just replace them with Xyz monsters, and this deck is completely fine. And it's, yeah, so to explain the idea of this deck, like, and how crazy it is, any 2 level 8 monsters, which Fire King easily shits out level 8 monsters. This deck makes rank 8s like it's nothing. You know, there's so many ways to make rank 8s, and then any rank 8s, any 2 level 8s makes Spriggan's ship X blow her. I hardly even knew her, and then you can use this card to pop some cards if you want to. Like, it has an effect going second, by the way. This is pops cards. It's also a fire, you know, synergy, but you can overlay immediately into gigantic champion Sargass, the gigantic ass himself, and then you add Tally-Ho Springans to your hand. Tally-Ho Springans, this card is basically soul charge. You activate Tally-Ho Springans, you detach the Explorer underneath the ass, the Sargass, and then you add the other Sargass to your hand, and then you special summon both the Explorer and the Sargass. The Explorer plus the Sargass makes Utopic Future into UDF. Then the Sargass, you know, special summons itself to the field with the Tally-Ho Springans, and this is a pop. You just detach from any Xyz material on your opponent's turn, quick effect, and you pop a card, then you have the UDF. So immediately right there, 2 level 8s gets you 2 interruptions, Sargass plus Utopic Future. Also, you're playing Fire Kings, so you have the entire Fire King Fire Engine half of your deck as well. So like, if you open the Snake-Eye's Ash randomly, on top of having Garunix in grave already, and as soon as anything gets popped, the Garunix summons itself back, sends Kieran, pops another card. You know that Fire King stuff. But surprisingly, the Snake-Eye stuff, despite having 0 links, does a lot of stuff. I would argue, I'm like deadass arguing that the Snake-Eyes cards are better in the Xyz group than they are in the Link group. if you believe me, just because of the legality of the Fire King cards. So yeah, Ash will get you, you know, your Slambirds, you know, Ash, get Poplar, special Poplar. It doesn't matter if you can't link the Poplar off, because you're just gonna use Ash sending the Poplar to make the Flambirds, and then the OSS is going to just send the Poplar in the back rows. Like, it's fine. You don't need a Link one to do this combo at all. And then the Flambirds on the field, the Flambirds will scale the Alcanics. Like, you will Fire King Island, pop your Ponix, add Garunix, special Garunix will pop Alcanics from deck. Alcanics will summon the other Garunix, that's how you get your first rank 8. But then the Alcanix is in your graveyard. You will use your Flamberge to place the Alcanix in your spell and trap zone. And then on your opponent's turn, you will use the Flamberge to summon out the Alcanix. The Alcanix will then pop the Ponix that re-added itself back to your hand because you popped it initially, and then it will the Alcanix will then add Arvata. Because you popped your Ponix, it will trigger Garunix. Garunix will summon back. Garunix will send the Kirin. Kirin will special summon the Arvata that you just added to your hand off the Alcanix, and you get the pop a card. Then you have another monster negate off the Arvata. You have a pop off the Kirin. You have a pop off the Sargass. You have the negate plus yoink off the UDF, and you have the Fire King Sanctuary on field, which is going to quick exceed into a Hyang Fire King as Hyang at the Fire Kings, which is going to blow up the entire field too. So that's literally one Snake Eyes Ash, one for one Bonfire gets you 5 interruptions as an Xyz Fire King deck with zero Link monsters. So yeah, this is like literally the first time that all these Snake Eyes cards and all these Fire King cards were legal at once. Even in something like an Xyz Cup, even in or something like an Xyz event, even during the previous Xyz events, this deck was not even legal because I guess they remember like they would still hit the Fire King cards even in an Xyz event, but not this one. The power level of this event is kind of it's low key kind of going through the roof, depending on like what decks people play. Yeah, this deck is insane. This is like I would argue that this is. I would definitely argue this would be the best Xyz deck. I think this is better than the Purrely deck I just showed earlier, and that Purrely deck was like fine. It was like all nearly damn near full power Purrely deck. I think this deck's better than that. I can demonstrate if you want, but like trust me, this deck's insane when you play it, when you get it off. No Promethean Princess, no links, no Sunlight Wolf, does not matter one bit. Like it's fine. So yeah, the engine, we have like one Snake Eyes Ash, double Ponix, just 2 Ponix so that you can add another card off of the OSS Engrave effect, as additional follow-up. Not that you need it because you're playing a Snake Eyes Fire King deck, your follow-up is fine. Yeah, the 1 Poplar, 1 Arvada, triple Alcanix, triple Die Bellstar. This card's yeah, this is usually one of the cards that's hit in the events, but this is completely legal for here, and I think this is completely legal in the Link event too. So. Or the Link group as well. 1 OG Garunix, 1 Sargass this is like the 1 brick in the deck, the 1 Garnet. So like if you draw this, then you would just do a different line. You would like honestly you would just make Galaxy Eyes Photon Lore instead of the UDF play, and like you'll be mostly fine anyways. 1 Flamberge, 1 Garunix, triple Kirin, 1 for 1, 1 Bonfire, original Symbol Spoils, 1 Fire King Island, 1 Sanctuary, Tally-Ho Springans, the search of the Sargass. I mean, just seriously read this card. This card is like Soul Charge plus like Rhoda in 1 card. Like this card is crazy. If Springans were any good, like this card, you would hear about this card so often. It also like has a grave effect where it detaches a material off of one of your opponent's Xyz monsters, which is never going to happen in this event because you're never going to play against other Xyz decks. But during the Xyz Cup, this grave effect in the flash for the follow-up went crazy too. 1 Wanted, 1 Skyburn, triple Imperm, and triple the triple Impulse. So this is a Dominus Impulse deck. That's another advantage of this. Like this is another reason why I like this better than that Purrely deck, because Dominus Impulse, you can play this. It's an insane card, and you're gonna play against fusion decks. Dominus Impulse is insane versus every fusion deck pretty much. So they all use fusion spells, or like effects of fusion summon. But yeah, the hand traps are like Imperm, Impulse, Effect Veiler, Droll, Ash, the standard stuff you expect. You can run Fool Us as well. Like if you want to play Fool Us over the Effect Veiler, feel free. It's perfectly fine. But this deck can actually break boards too, so like you don't have to stop your opponent from playing completely as well. Yeah, the extra deck like this surprisingly tight. Honestly, like all of these cards have like a function. Obviously, you have the F-Zero and the UDF. You have a Numron Dragon plus Draglubion. Now, this isn't just a meme. Like, this isn't just like a funny way to OTK your opponent. This is a way to out Liger Dancer and other Towers-like cards. So, like, because this goes to 9k attack, so obviously this will run over anything you want. So, like, this is just desperation out to Liger Dancer. Futro, basically just to enable Zeus with Downward. but also like if you get rolled or something, you can make a Fucho and guaranteed to live until the next turn. You know, like pretend you're playing against Tenpai, stuff like that. You have a 1 Hope Harbinger. Alternative to summon off of the Draglubion if for some reason you don't want to summon Neuron Dragon. Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord for when you hard draw the Sargass, you can still make a rank 8 play. Then Girsu, mainly like not for the removal but for the protection effect. You know, for example, against Liger Dancer, if you make this, then they can't Liger Dancer pop any of your stuff, and then you can just go to town, go free, do whatever you want. 1 Draglubion, the Explorer plus Sargass needed for the combo, double Hyung. Maybe you can get away with 1, but like obviously you want the one to make with the Sanctuary, and like this is just a good card to make in general, just full board wipe and spell trap removal. Like it removes like both the back row and the monsters at once. Well, not at once, but on the same card. Zeus and Typhon. So yeah, this deck is crazy, low-key sleeper for one of the best decks for this event that I know a lot of people, it's going to be under a lot of people's radar. Like pretty much, I'm not sure if anybody is going to actually, outside of the people that are exactly watching this video, I'm not sure if anyone else is going to bring this deck. So yeah. And finally, we have the Link decks, or I guess we could also call this group the Toss group, because Sky Strikers, oh my god, yes, I love Ray. I would die for Sky Striker Ace Ray. Excuse my lack of alt arts. I only own 1 alt art Ray, and I only own 1 alt art Engage. I'm sorry, I'm poor. You like to see me play alt arts, you know, fucking donate to, don't donate to me for that. Like that's not, please don't. I'm not even gonna joke about that. But yeah, so this is Sky Striker. Sky Striker, I think, is basically completely illegal. You know, again, new deck from the new pack. Quote unquote, well, it's not a new deck, but new support from the new pack, so obviously this is going to be legal for this event, and yeah. What's there to say? This is a blind second Sky Striker deck. I'm not sure if there's a way to make this a going first deck, but I mean, this deck is much better blind second anyways, and the best thing about this is that because you're in the Link group, you're not going to play against other Sky Striker players unless like the Xyz group falls off immensely and there's not enough players, and then Link is so overplayed because so many people love Ray that like you play Sky Striker mirror matches. That would be hilarious, but I don't expect that to be the case. So because you're never going to play the mirror match, you don't have to worry about going second that often, because the majority of other decks in this format, like I guess there's maybe blind second Lunalight, that might be a thing, although I feel like more people are going to go with the go first Lunalight because like towers turbo over, you know, blind second. But other than that, most other decks are going to be going first deck, so you're rarely, if ever, going to quote unquote lose the coin flip and be made this sent going first. So like you will always usually go second. And yeah, all the board breakers are legal this time. They didn't even hit Lightning Storm. Like usually they hit Lightning Storm during these events. I don't understand what they have against Lightning Storm in particular, but yeah, all of the good board breakers are legal. Besides Super Poly, which is not something you would be able to run anyways because you're a Link-based deck. And yeah, the only thing you have to concern yourselves with is how to out-towers monsters. Because, what's it called? Liger Dancer is in the format, and like Purrely Noir is in the format. But if you have plans to out those, then like you're Gucci. And I honestly, Purrely Noir is like not even really a problem. And anyways, neither is Liger Dancer. You have a specific outs to them. So, for example, one is Hamp. you don't have to run Hamp. This isn't necessary, but like, I'm just saying, like, normally Hamp sucks against Lunalight because Lunalight would make 2 Liger Dancers, and this card is useless against double Liger Dancer because it only outs one of them. But in this format, Liger Dancer is limited, so you only ever have to worry about 1 Liger Dancer. Which, in that case, 1 Hamp will do the job just fine versus Liger Dancer. So, yeah, this is actually probably the only time this card will ever be viable. But, yeah, besides that, you know, the much more convenient out, the easy out to Liger Dancer and Exploring Nar is just Herald of the Abyss. You just Herald of the Abyss. And, like, assuming your opponent doesn't play around it. I don't know if people are going to be like that and actually play around Herald of the Abyss and summon, like, an extra monster, but, like, if they don't play around this just wrecks their shit. Outs the Noir and outs the Liger Dancer just like that. Easy done. And it's pretty easy to trigger because you run triple thrust, you run triple engage, you run triple upstrike on them. You have lots of draw power to try and get into the card that searches Herald of the Abyss, and then boom, it's done. Also, half funny out is the Black Goat Laughs, or aka Michael Jordan. So like you could either send this to the graveyard if you hard draw with droplets, or linkage, or linkage can do that, right? It can send it's not just spells. Send one other card you control. Yeah, send one other card, not just spells. Okay, for some reason, I at one point I thought linkage only sent spells, which like that would make that card significantly worse. But yeah, I can send anything. So yeah, if this goes into the graveyard, you just call Liger Answer, you just call Purrely Noir. It doesn't out them, but I mean they can't use their effects. So if they can't do their effects, use their effects, they're just sitting ducks, waiting for you to, you know, find one of your ways to out them. Like you can even just like go until you like turbo through your deck until you find the Herald of the Abyss eventually. But yeah, so his deck list, I think this is like pretty close to standard. Yeah, we have 3 Ray, 1 Rose. That's ratio now. But this is not, again, if you don't own this card, no, don't feel the need to craft this. It's just definitely not necessary. This is just funny because this is probably the only time you'll ever get to play this card if you do own it. You got a Raigeki, Death Thruster, Storm. These are just random, like whatever board breakers you own, play them. Obviously, not Ultimate Slayer. Don't play Ultimate Slayer for very obvious reasons that I shouldn't have to explain to you. But besides Ultimate Slayer, like all the other board breakers are like games. So like if you have other board breakers you want to play, go ahead. Triple Upside Goblin, just don't get drolled. Forehead drolls that too. Just simply don't get drolled. Yeah, 1 Reen, 1 Rhoda, 1 Metaphors Fusion for Foolish Burial. So this is just an extra draw because you do. Sometimes, like, you draw a lot, you sometimes draw Foolish Burial. You can thrust for Foolish Burial to send Black Goat Labs to help break more other boards. But if you already have access to Black Goat Labs, where if you hard draw the Metaphors Fusion or the Black Goat Labs, you can also send them to the graveyard with droplets and linkage, and then you get an extra draw of the Metaphors Fusion. And Foolish Burial gets send Metaphors Fusion gets you 2 spells immediately, so like that's convenient. That's why I think it's worth playing for this event. Maybe like not in normal decks, but like for this event, I think this is pretty decent. Triple Engage, obviously. Afterburners, the Herald of the Abyss to out like the Towers like cards. Double Lightning Storm, double Tactics to sort of triple thrust. 3 Tactics sometimes is a bit much because you draw a lot with this deck, and if you draw multiples of Talons, it doesn't really do you any good. And you can oftentimes you can just search this if you for some reason don't want to search another copy of Engage. For some reason you can get Tactics, and Tactics just draws 2 cards. Like if you already have all your spell striker targets, you just draw 2 cards raw and like not have to search a striker card. One multi-roll, 1 Hornet Drones, triple Widow Anchor, Shark Cannon, triple Droplet, triple Linkage. I think this helps with OTKs now. One Lemnis Gate, the new card, like shuffle back and then bounce shit. Like this is like an insane board breaker. At the same card to use at the end. After you've half broken your board with the other cards, this just basically ends the game for you. And then the Michael Jordan as for aforementioned for thrust. And like if you don't kill your opponent, like if you can't OTK your opponent, going thrust for Black Goat Labs ain't bad. To handle your opponent's follow up. And the extra deck, so because there's no Xyz, so we're not playing like Typhon and stuff like that. There's like extra room for Striker Links, so like you just run like Hagaris, Shizukus, Hayates. Again, laugh at my lack of alt arts. I don't love Ray like that. I'm a fake fan. One Amatsu. This card's pretty neat. This I haven't seen this card used a lot, but it's like a Lina replace. This is just like better Kaina. So like you never see Kaina run anymore. But yeah, this when a monster your opponent controls with 2k or more attack activates its effect, which is a lot in this format. You can make them just destroy one striker link monster you control instead. This is like a semi negate because you just make them, like for example, pop like this, and then this dies and the ray comes back. So on and so forth. And when this is attacks that are involving this card, you can destroy 2 cards on the field. So like that's why it's better at Kaina. So like instead of stalling with Kaina, just blanking attack, this actually just makes it makes them punished for trying to attack you. Zeke, removal. Azalea, removal. Camellia. Like, if you Widow Anchor some dude, like, you can maybe go Camellia lines or something. SP Little Knight, and then, like, Striker Ace equals 0. You don't need 3 of this card. Most normal builds just run 2, but, like, that's because there's, like, Xyz options they play, or, like, Super Poly, or, like, I don't know, Ultimate Slayer targets. Generally, they have other use for their 15 extra deck slot besides a third 0, but, you know, this... If you own 3-0, you know, might as well. It's not like you can run anything else, but, yeah. Ray is Bay. And the next Link deck, this is why I call this the Toss group, because first it was Striker, and now it's Orcust, and if you want, Salamangreat is also legal and playable for this event too. But, yeah, this deck is Orcust. Like, the only thing you're missing is Thunder Dragon, which, you know, you could technically play Thunder Dragon in the Fusion event, but, like, or in the Fusion group, but I don't have faith in that deck compared to, you know, the other decks from that format. But yeah, anyways, this is pure Orcust. So the only hit to Orcust itself is the fact that Dingirsu, like, you can't play it because it's an Xyz. Obviously, you can't play the Phoenix engine, you can't play the Mitsurugi engine very well because Habakiri's banned. But, like, if you just want to play straight up pure Orcust, which also won the rating duels last season, it was the #1 deck on rated. So, like, you know, what did we? Oh no, like, pure Orcust with Dominus Impulse, and it turns out pretty decent in its own right. Anyways, you don't even need the other sub engines. So, yeah, this is just simply a pure Orcust build with tons of 1-card starters and tons of hand traps, because without playing the other bricks and without playing the other engines, you just end up with a shit ton of room to just play a lot of non-engine, which is what makes this deck, you know, pretty good. Which is like one of the perks of playing pure. And yeah, with that being said, you know, to go on with the deck, if you have one Orcust ass Bombard, I think you would only play this in pure, and also the fact that it's a tuner does not matter at all. This is, you know, you would never play this in any hybrid build, but, like, you're like kind of strapped on names. So yeah, you got double Symbol Skeleton, triple Heart Horror, 1-card starter. Very annoying to actually deal with just because of the fucking Link 1, and triple Girsu is still one of the most annoying 1-card starters in the game. Yes, but even for this event, that's still the case. Even without the Phoenix cards, even without the Mitsurugi cards, you know, try hand trapping this. You're not gonna have a good time unless it's Fuwa loss. Yeah, 1 World Crown, triple Bestials. I guess this is like somewhat non-engine, but also the Bestials are also engine, because any 2 monsters is Nightmare Mermaid, which is full Orcust combo. So yeah, running hand traps that put bodies on the field, you know, seem good, like Bestials, especially since Bestials are good against most fusion decks. Not so good against Xyz decks is the thing. You know, Crow is better against Xyz decks, but, you know, Xyz decks I expect to be slightly less popular, if not a lot less popular than fusion decks. And, you know, Crow doesn't put a body on the field. If Crow is not half of a full Orcust combo like Bestials are. I'm not playing Nibiru because I think, well, first of all, Nibiru with Impulse is always awkward, because, like, it's like you have to wait for your opponent to special summon 5 times first, drop the Nibiru, and then Impulse the next special summon, which is kind of weird. But also, Nibiru is just not good against fusion decks. That's just straight up, like, what am I getting? Nibiru versus Branded? Getting Nibiru versus Tier? Yeah, that no thank you. So yeah, the Bestials, 1 Nightmare, 1 World Wand, 1 Sirius, the Siriusi, because this is pure, so pure runs this. Foolish Burial, 1 Orchestrated Return. You could probably run more, but, like, honestly, there isn't a lot of names you want to get rid of with Orchestrated Return. Like, for example, if you open Harp Horror, like, just normal summoning Harp Horror is, like, arguably better value than sending it to the graveyard of Orcust Return, because Orchestrated Return, send Harp Horror, and then you use Harp Horror effect and you get ashed. Like, that actually just straight up gets, that's straight up worse than just normal summoning Harp Horror and linking it into Galatea. And then if your Orcust Harp Horror gets ashed, you still have a play because you searched what's it called, World Crown, and you can still make a Link 2 and go from there. Whereas if you just sent the Orcust Hardboard to grave with the Orcust return and you don't draw anything useful, and then you just get ashed, then your turn actually ends. That's kind of bad. But yeah, that's why I actually don't even really like this card, because like if that logic, you kind of don't want to send Hardboard. You don't want to, obviously you don't want to send Gearsu. So like you don't have many other targets to send even in a pure deck. Yeah, one Babel, triple droplets, one Orcust Crescendo. Droplet is also nice because you can send. It's better to, in my opinion, it's better to send Hardboard with Droplet because you're actually negating stuff on board as opposed to return, which is like just getting 2 random cards, which could be drawing the Fool Loss, which never feels good. But yeah, the one Crescendo. I gotta craft these cards, man. I have a Royal Crescendo. This is just rotting away in my collection for nothing. Like I gotta craft the rest of this Orcust deck, man. Like complete that collection. But yeah, and then for the non-engine, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 20 hand traps in this deck. 20 hand traps in this deck. In fact, if you feel like this deck is not consistent enough, you could probably, like honestly, you could probably cut some hand traps and then run like more copies of Symbol Skeleton, or like run more copies of Nightmare or some shit, or like just more Orcust names in general. If this deck is kind of, as it is kind of breaking, because I didn't realize I was playing fucking 20 hand traps in this deck. Like that's how much fucking room pure Orcust has to run non-engine. But yeah, you can play 20 of your favorite non-engine. I would recommend Impulse and Imperm, because this deck can play Impulse, Fool Loss, Valor, Ash, Troll, Droplet. Like Jesus Christ, this is so many. This is more hand traps than fucking Salad Magrate runs. Imagine telling someone from 2019 that in 2025, number one, people would still be playing Orcust and Salad, and number two, Orcust would be the deck that runs more hand traps than Salad Magrate. But that's besides the point. We don't have a time machine. And the extra deck, because there's no Xyz, you got and there's no there's no Fiendsmith, there's no Mitsurugi. You got a shit ton of room for your extra deck. So like obviously you got to run the Mermaid, the Galatea, the other Galatea. I run 2 Galatea now because you have the space. So like a lot of times it's awkward if they stop your first Galatea and you don't run a second one. It's kind of weird to get back your Orcust plays, especially if you never access Babel or something. But with 2, you pretty much always have access to your Orcust engine on follow-up turns. IP, SP, Long Gearsu, and Lil Gearsu, and then the rest is like just fucking flex spots. So I'm running like, you run the one Nightmare Phoenix, obviously for the Mermaid, but also I run a Cerberus, which is also another thing you can make, another nightmare you can make and link into Mermaid. The Barricade Board Blocker, just to, if I'm not really sure when you would make Barricade Board, because I guess if you're worried about removal, because you could always just link into Nightmare and then link it immediately into Mermaid and then discard a card. So I don't know, maybe you have multiple cards you want to discard, or like, I don't know. I mean, it's filled. You probably don't go into this that often. Dark. It's engine too, because you can crash Dark and like add a fucking Hardboard or Gearsu to your hand, depending on like if you send your normal summon or not. So that's probably more useful. Honestly, in this deck, Dark is about probably as useful for getting a starter as it is for fucking actually stealing your opponent's monster. Like the taking your opponent's monster is like bait for them to use a hand trap so that you can do your real plays. But yeah, SP, I went over that. Nightmare Unicorn is another. It's a link 3 to go with into access code to give access code attack. I'll say that. Running double access code. So this is kind of obviously you don't need to run double access code. Like obviously you do not need to run double access code. Okay, I'm just playing this because theoretically, right? Liger Dancer. Okay, let's say you link climb to access code to run over to Liger Dancer, then they pop your access code. Theoretically, you can make a second access code and run over it, because here's the thing: none of access code's effects are once per turn. So like if you make a second access code with a link 3, it will still gain the 3k attack. It will still go to 5300 attack. It's just like I don't think anyone in the history of the game has ever made a second access code like that. Not for years, but like still, that is theoretically a thing. Obviously, like that, you don't have to worry about Liger Dancer hitting the field because you play fucking 20. I guess you play 17 hand traps, but still, 17 hand traps should be enough to like comfortably deal with Liger Dancer most of the time, anyways. Wait, did I say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Sorry, did I say 20 hand traps? I meant the 23 hand traps. I forgot to count the fucking Bis Shields. There's 23 non-engine in this deck. Jesus Christ. Maybe we could cut some engine here, and maybe we can cut some hand traps here and run some more engine. I don't know. But like, it just seems to be working. This amount of starters work fine for like the rank 1 player on ranked. So like, you know, maybe you can just get away with just running this little amount of starters. But yeah, I guess you could. The next thing would be to just run more copies of Nightmare. Like you could run 3 Orcust Nightmare, 3 Orchestrated Return, and still have room for 19 hand traps, which is like, you know, that in itself sounds kind of ridiculous. But yeah, this deck is the more I'm thinking about this, the more I'm like, this deck might actually just be the best deck just because of all this fucking hand traps they can run. And like, no Dingirsu, so like you lose like maybe 1 interruption, but like I think you should be fine for the most part. You can play without making Dingirsu. They don't. You can get away with not even playing the Dingirsu Sin. I guess since there's 1 Dingirsu, you should probably run more copies of Orcust Nightmare now that I'm thinking about it, because you can't recycle as easily. So like maybe you should run another one just to have follow up or like more world ones. But either way, like just having 1 turn and being able to do your combo once for like 1 turn, I think should be enough to be to win games, to get through this event with this deck. I think this is still doesn't stop it from being one of the better decks. Maybe run a second World Wand just because you can't recycle it as easily. I mean, you still can recycle it because you have Galatea. I guess that's the reason why, another reason why I run the second Galatea, since you can't attach off of the Dingirsu. You still have the Galatea to recycle your damage machine. So like maybe you can run a fucking Orcustrion as well. The Orcusi itself to shuffle more stuff. This deck is cracked. Like actually, this might just straight up be better than Size Strikers. But yeah. So yeah, those are what I think are some of the best decks for this event. And just by looking at some of the example decks that I gave, I feel like this event is going to be a pretty high power level. Even though most decks that people play are going to be hurt by, you know, the restriction that you can only use 1. You know, as I've shown you, the few decks that don't mind the restriction that much are going to be like insane, because like there aren't actually that many hits. You know, all things considered, on the ban list itself. So if a deck doesn't get hurt by this restriction, then it's damn near full power, like we saw with some of the, you know, like with the fusion deck, like fucking Branded, for example. So, yeah. Anyways, there also, because the ban list is like kind of lenient, there also are a lot of decent budget options you can use for this event. Also, like you have like 9 different loaners to choose from. So like at worst, like you can always find a loaner deck that you can use as well. But yeah, we'll go over those in the next video. But thank you for watching, and let me know what you guys are planning to play for this event, or if you guys want to try out any of the decks that I showed in this video.